This is a brief introduction to human civilization. Okay. Our prehistoric ancestors were knowledgeable in the sense that they could forge landscapes in the struggle to survive. Throughout this lesson, I will attempt to show how the human mind, generally and intellectually, has evolved or changed due to advanced discoveries in relation to human knowledge, acquired through sense and perception, and that the inventions we make have also evolved the mindset or worldview. And the ways in which we humans, in a sense, have comprehended, to the same degree or another, our world, ourselves, and our place on this giant blue dot. Somewhere in space, we came to attain goals in the world of obstacles by means of decisions based on natural rules that obey truth. There we find how pertinent it is that we learned how to categorize information, because this gave us the opportunity to infer, or at the least predict, properties. By adding together information from various sources, it seems that we have found through our perception a complete image of what exists and what matters. But how can we see ourselves as moderns, unlike those who've gone before us, explaining how our minds and brains work by evolutionary processes, occurring over millions of years, if not couple thousands of years, of cultural change that is rapidly occurring minute by minute? How do we understand the past? How do we understand ourselves as a species, as well as all of the actions and emotions that our brains have artistically created over the last 300,000 to 7,000 years? And so what I'm doing is attempting to work through the entire story of human experience in a very brief introduction to human civilization, and therefore analyzing and examining the social and cultural aspects in history of our genus, the aspects which will be defined, aspects of an obsession to meaning and purpose, aspects of human behavior which can be examined through the biological sciences and the social sciences, and obviously pertinent information to what we know and think, depending upon the circumstantial time and place in which we find ourselves to exist. So an overview, in a sense, we begin this history at the year 1000 CE. We will cover human experience alongside human ideas and inventions until the year 2000 CE. And while doing so, we will eventually be able to discover worlds of human experience that were mostly forgotten or heard of, or completely unknown. These worlds we discovered in the modern world from 1500 to about 1999 are that of classical antiquity and human prehistory. Emphasis on the period between 1900 and 2000 will show how little we recently knew about cultures and civilizations that existed from prehistoric times to the present day, given the return to the examination of ancient documents during the Renaissance, the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment, and the spreading of ideas and inventions thereafter. So, in a sense, humans went forward in time. They could not have done otherwise, to understand the times and cultural societies before their own time in space. The developments of all discovered cultures and civilizations will be examined in accordance to the material culture, which testifies to their worldviews, beliefs, values, and actions. From the age of reason onward, the pertinence of work accomplished in the long 19th century will begin to become clear, from 1789 to 1914. Through a contemporaneous reflection upon a progression of ideas leading to our present state of mind in the 7 million years of human existence. In history, we meet several characters: medieval religious man, modern industrial man, ancient political man, and postmodern psychological man. Each character would symbolize an abstract conceptualization of distant periods of time and specific ways that humans have thought about what exists and what matters. The first civilizations were unknown to both prehistoric and medieval men, so we start with civilized society in the Middle Ages, the year 1000 CE, where cultures, as we shall see, change rapidly until the year 2000 CE. During these last 1,000 years, a slow progression of knowledge has revealed in the last 300 years in particular. What was the last 3,000 years from the original starting date of 1000 CE, which brings us to the year 2000 CE and beyond, to 10,000 BC, 50,000 BC, 100,000 BCE, 300,000 BCE, 1.8 million BCE, 5 to 7 million BCE, and 65 million BCE, etc. So, through the history of humanity, roughly 7,000 years since the development of writing systems, between 5,000 BCE and 3,000 AD, I attempt to reveal 7 billion years of human evolution covering the ancestors of today's existing primates, especially the proto-primate Placidia dapiforms, which were closely related to the direct ancestors of all modern forms of primate apes, including ourselves. Given our current state as out of 200 primate species, we have infiltrated all of our planet's biomes, as I've said before, but we left the trees due to our species becoming bipedal along other hominins of different genus, including Australopithecus and its various forms. So we are the last of the hominids, we are the sapiens, and unlike other primate relatives, we have combined symbols to generate unlimited new meanings, i.e. true language invention, as opposed to normal communication, the exchange of information. Only we produced syntax, or rules for providing or combining symbols to express new ideas that no single word or utterance can convey. But we did not always have language as a species. It is relatively new, and even newer is the invention of language in the form of the written word. In human language, words are more than labels for objects. They represent tens of thousands of abstract concepts that help human beings to think far beyond the here and now. We think back to the past, and we reflect in the past anticipation for the future. And in history class, we'll see the evolution of the history of knowledge from the histories of science and the histories of philosophy. We can discuss the past, we can discuss the future, and even things that exist only in our imagination. By connecting words into sentences through grammar and syntax, the invention of human language can express an unlimited number of ideas from a limited set of particular words. This is the story of us. It's the story of humanity, the only hominid species remaining, and how we have developed minor differences physically, but major differences culturally in separate regions over the course of thousands of years. We are all the same, genetically speaking, in terms of genetics and DNA and such, but in a broad sense, we are developing from environmental, social, economical, cultural, historical influences, as well as from human behavior, from psychological processes, and also human ideas and human thoughts. So that's that for that video. I do want to have one little snippet on education at the end of this, that about the educator and the role of education. And the role of education is to teach people sound deliberation and the art of citizenship. It is, in other words, human virtue. It is what makes someone an outstanding person. It is an educator who deeply is cautious in the practice of their craft, offering themselves to the public as a teacher of the city's inhabitants. All of virtue is nothing but wisdom as knowledge rightly applied, and a rational-based expertise at deliberation and decision. All rationally based expertises are acquired by teaching, and so therefore let us ponder these things, work them out for ourselves, have reasons for holding them, and questioning whether we are right to do so.